So we finally get the follow-up chapter to what happened in the last events of Fairy Tail with that epic lip lock with Gajeel and Levy. And when it starts off, Levy tries to downplay it. She's like, oh no, you were just the first person closest to me. You know, that's why I did it and whatnot. And first of all, while it seemed as though Gajeel, obviously he was doing it because he wanted to keep fighting and whatnot, but it kind of gave me a chuckle to think, imagine if it was just that he wanted another smooch and he's like, oh, please give me one more. But also, when she was saying that, like, you were just the closest to me, it made me think, so if Lucy was the closest to her, would we have gotten, like, a little bit of, I'm just saying, don't front like you wouldn't want to see that if you're a straight male. Oh, yeah. So a full-on Gajeel-centric chapter this week. It was kind of going a little bit more into his character, giving him some development and getting more context as to who he truly is in every which way possible, even getting a little bit of his backstory of back in the days when he was in Phantom. Now, this chapter, him getting the power-up and becoming a steel shadow dragon now, while it did feel very convenient, it was kind of like, you know, just same thing with the shadow when he ate the shadow and whatnot. I was like, oh, it's pretty convenient. But I will say one thing. It is a hell of a lot better than him defeating Torafusa just because of friendship. And that also makes me think, Hiro Mashima must have heard a lot of the criticism of people being sick of the friendship shit, because if you notice, every time somebody gets a power-up or they defeat a villain, especially mainly in this arc, there's always a reason. There's always something behind it. It's not just, I want to fuck you up because I love my friends. And that shows that a lot of the criticism that he got for the Grand Magic Games in particular, he took to heart and he noticed it and he's like, I can't do this shit anymore. And I'm really hoping that he stays that way, because Gajeel defeating Torafusa in this chapter, again, while it felt a little bit like, you know, he absorbed the carbon, and at the same time it feels like very wise. So it's kind of like a mixture of convenient, but at the same time, at least it's smart, and it's a lot better than, again, just I'm mad and I'm gonna fuck you up. Now, I'm not sure if we've ever seen in the past Gajeel with that old lady in particular kind of giving him guidance and whatnot and trying to get the best for him and giving him a lot of chances, but getting a little bit more of that story kind of gives us more of Gajeel, because Gajeel's been a lot of a mystery, so to speak. We see him here and there. He does something epic. We like him. He's a fan favorite, whatnot, but we never really dive into his character and ultimately what's he all about. And seeing that Fairy Tail kind of gave him a life, and this is giving a little bit more exposition into the character in general. Fairy Tail is what's pushing him at this particular point, wanting to be with his friends. And again, I know it feels a little bit campy or whatever, oh, you know, friendship or whatnot, but basically a lot of his motive of why he is the way he is today and why he's a kind of good guy and he's no longer a ruffian like he used to be, still has that character in him, like, you know, I'm a badass, but why he's more simmered down, so to speak, is not only because of Fairy Tail as well, but also because of that old lady kind of always wanting the best for him and giving him all these chances and everything. So you see a little bit more as to why he would change from that asshole that he was back in the days of Phantom, of just, you know, wanting to fuck everyone up. I mean, at the end of the day, let's not forget that he beat the living shit out of Lucy back in the day. Although he did pay for that, because if I'm correct, I think Loxus fucked him up, so yeah. But the fact that he had that old lady in his corner kind of wanting him to go the right way, and this was kind of his answer to that, it makes it a lot better than him reforming simply for the sake of Fairy Tail. That is a motive at this particular point, but he's only using that motive because of that old lady changing his ways. So I felt that as far as his character goes and developing him in the right way, that was a little bit better than just the average, you know, oh, I want to protect Fairy Tail and whatnot. That's one of his motives, but he wouldn't even give a fuck about that if it wasn't for the old lady. And another one bites the dust, Torafusa getting his fucking ass kicked at the end, although he did have Gajeel against the rope. So for the most part, it was a good fight. I honestly felt like, yeah, it could have been a little bit less convenient or whatever, but at the end of the day, it was carbon, it went with iron, came steel and whatnot. So yeah, it's not that bad, and ultimately it kind of gives Gajeel a little bit of a boost. So it makes me think, at this particular point, aside from the bullshit friendship stuff, is Gajeel stronger than Natsu? It makes me wonder, like, where is Gajeel at this particular point with this power-up of now him being a steel shadow dragon? And above all, we got some progression with this as well. The fight against Torafusa is done. Torafusa's crusty ass is knocked the fuck out. Now all we have is, I believe, Tempest still left. So we got some progression in this chapter finally out of this fight. Wasn't too long of a fight, thankfully. It was decent amount. It was just the right amount. Not too long, not too short. So I'm glad about that we got Torafusa out the way. And overall, again, some progression as far as this fight goes. So overall, good chapter. Getting a little bit of exposition into Gajeel's background and getting him a little bit more stronger so that way he's not left behind as well. I feel as though they're getting stronger, but it's none of the BS that happened in the Grand Magic Games or even prior to that with them, you know, getting these random power-ups. It was like, at least it made more sense with the carbon and the iron than, again, just, I love my friends. So with all that being said, I'm going to give this one 7.5 out of 10. Good stuff for the most part. I like seeing that, and we did get progression, and ultimately getting Gajeel's backstory. Like, Gajeel is a fan favorite, and finding out a little bit more about him was definitely interesting and a good touch. But let me know what you guys think. First of all, would you have rather seen Levy tongue wrestling with Lucy instead of Gajeel? Okay, you don't really got to answer that one. And what do you think about Gajeel absorbing the carbon and becoming a steel shadow dragon and fucking up Torafusa? Feel too convenient? Was it at least better than, you know, friendship? And your overall thoughts of this fight? Glad we got out of it. It was an okay fight for the most part. Not too long, not too short. And Gajeel for the win. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you could do so as well, that'd be awesome. I'm Finette World, and as always, people, have an awesome day. So we finally get the follow-up chapter to what happened in the last events of Fairy Tail with that epic lip lock with Gajeel and Levy. And when it starts off, Levy tries to downplay it. She's like, oh no, you were just the first person closest to me. You know, that's why I did it and whatnot. And first of all, while it seemed as though Gajeel, obviously he was doing it because he wanted to keep fighting and whatnot, but it kind of gave me a chuckle to think, imagine if it was just that he wanted another smooch and he's like, oh, please give me one more. But also, when she was saying that, like, you were just the closest to me, it made me think, so if Lucy was the closest to her, would we have gotten like a little bit of, I'm just saying, don't front like you wouldn't want to see that if you're a straight male. Oh yeah. So a full-on Gajeel-centric chapter this week. It was kind of going a little bit more into his character, giving him some development and getting more context as to who he truly is in every which way possible, even getting a little bit of his backstory.